Have you ever felt, deep in your chest, that something in your life has been quietly wrong, even when you can't explain why? The moment that question enters your mind, something inside you shifts, a subtle vibration, a silent recognition, because a part of you has always known that the reality you see isn't the whole reality, and maybe that's why you're here right now, listening to words that parecem vir de algum lugar entre o visível e o invisível. Words that feel less like information and more like a calling. You've lived your entire life believing in a world made of matter, chance, and random events. But what if the truth, the hidden truth, has been waiting behind the edges of your perception this whole time? What if the moments you call coincidences, the sudden chills, the dreams that feel like memories, the intuition that whispers before your mind understands, are not accidents, but signals? Signals from a deeper layer of existence, from the quantum field, from the very intelligence that shapes your destiny. For years you were told to ignore these feelings, to silence your inner knowing, to behave like the rest of the world, to stay in the same loop, to follow the same script. But you've always sensed something else moving beneath the surface, a pulse, a frequency, a vibration that doesn't come from the outside world, because it comes from you, from your quantum consciousness, from the part of you that observes, creates, collapses, and rearranges everything around you, even when you're not aware of it. And maybe that's why your life hasn't made sense until now. Maybe the emptiness you felt was not a flaw, but an invitation. Maybe the loneliness, the confusion, the déjà vus, the synchronicities, the sudden emotional waves, everything was preparing you for this exact moment, a moment where science and spirituality finally collide, where the dark meets the divine, where the invisible becomes undeniable. Because the truth is this: your subconscious mind has been interacting with the quantum field every second of your existence, even while the world told you it was just your imagination, and everything you've struggled with, the patterns that repeat, the relationships that drain you, the dreams you abandon right before they happen, did not come from fate or chance. They came from inside your own frequency, your vibration, your unspoken beliefs shaping the matrix you call life. But here's the part no one ever told you. You were never a spectator. You were never a victim of randomness. You were always the observer. And in quantum physics, the observer collapses possibility into reality, which means the life you're living right now is not the life you were destined to live. It's the life you unconsciously allowed yourself to manifest. And when you finally understand how consciousness creates reality, when you grasp what the most advanced physicists on the planet are now admitting, that the material world is not the foundation, but the result, you begin to feel something rising inside of you, a recognition, a memory, a remembrance of a power you forgot you had. You start to realize that your thoughts don't just exist inside your head, they echo through the quantum field. Your emotions don't just influence your mood, they alter timelines. Your beliefs don't just shape your identity, they sculpt your destiny. Every heartbreak, every fear, every suppressed desire, every silent prayer has been vibrating through the fabric of space-time, weaving versions of your future that you are only now becoming conscious enough to see. And this is where everything begins to shift. Because if your consciousness has been creating your reality, then changing your reality begins by awakening your consciousness. And the moment that awareness enters your mind, the moment you begin to sense the invisible architecture behind your life, you can feel the old version of you starting to dissolve, right here, right now, just before the real revelation begins. Before we go any deeper, take a moment and notice what's happening inside you right now. If something in these words has already resonated, if you felt seen, understood, or quietly awakened, that alone tells me you're aligned with this frequency, and that this conversation reached you at the exact moment it needed to. And because this space is built for people exactly like you, people who question, who feel, who sense the layers beneath reality, I want to ask for something simple, yet essential. If this message is already shifting something in your awareness, click the like button now. Not for vanity, not for numbers, but because that small action tells YouTube that this kind of knowledge matters, and that it should be shared with others who are searching for the same truth. And if you feel that this is a place where your consciousness can grow, expand, and finally understand how your reality is shaped at the deepest level, subscribe to the channel. Here, every video is part of a collective journey, a community of seekers exploring the hidden architecture of the mind, the quantum field, and the true nature of existence. Your presence here already makes you part of that movement. Your engagement is what allows these ideas to reach more people who need them. And now that we're aligned, we can continue. Because in the next video, we're going to take an even deeper step into a truth about consciousness, time, and vibration that most people never realize. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. What happened next was something he never expected. As he continued to study the quantum observer, he noticed patterns that shouldn't exist in a purely material universe. The data suggested that consciousness was not a side effect of the brain, but an active force interacting with the quantum field. Every measurement, every intention, every moment of awareness caused subtle shifts in probability, as if reality itself were listening. This was more than physics. It was a doorway into the hidden architecture of existence. He realized that if consciousness could influence particles, then human perception, emotion, and frequency were shaping far more than anyone dared to admit. But the deeper he went, the clearer it became that this truth threatened the foundations of the old paradigm. A universe built on randomness needs no awakened beings. A universe built on consciousness demands them. So his work was quietly dismissed, buried under layers of bureaucracy and academic politics. But the experiments didn't disappear. Others noticed the same distortions, the same inexplicable collapses of possibility that occurred only when a conscious mind was present. It was as if the universe responded differently when someone was truly aware, truly awake. And maybe that explains why you've always felt those subtle moments of alignment, those flashes of intuition, those synchronicities that break through the noise of everyday life. They weren't illusions. They were interactions with the quantum field, guided by your subconscious mind long before your conscious mind understood what was happening. When you start to see the hidden patterns, your perception shifts. You begin to sense the vibration under every thought, the frequency behind every emotion, the way your internal state rearranges external circumstances. This is not metaphor. It's the very mechanics of consciousness shaping the fabric of reality. And as your awareness expands, you start to question what else has been concealed, what other truths about the mind, energy, and the nature of existence have been quietly set aside because the world wasn't ready. If any part of this is speaking to you, stay connected. Engage with this space. Leave a comment sharing what resonated, because your perspective helps expand the field for everyone here. Like this video so the algorithm understands that people are searching for this kind of awakening. Subscribe if you feel called, not out of obligation, but because this community grows through shared intention and conscious participation. Your energy shapes the direction of this journey, and the more aligned minds gather here, the stronger the resonance becomes. And as we continue, there is something even more intriguing waiting just ahead. Something about the mind, the field, and the hidden mechanisms of creation that most people never hear about. It's the next piece of this puzzle, and once you see it, the way you understand your own existence will begin to shift again. And the reason you're already doing it without realizing is because the subconscious mind never stops transmitting. Even when you're silent, even when you feel lost, even when your conscious thoughts are scattered, your deeper identity is broadcasting signals into the quantum field. Every unresolved belief, every suppressed emotion, every quiet hope, and every unspoken fear becomes a frequency that interacts with the hidden layers of reality. This is why life sometimes feels like a pattern you didn't choose, repeating itself in ways you can't logically explain. It's not fate, it's resonance. Your inner state becomes a blueprint that the field responds to. What the suppressed experiments revealed is that perception is not passive. The observer is not just watching, the observer is shaping. When scientists noticed the behavior of particles shift in response to human intention, they weren't just witnessing physics, they were witnessing consciousness-altering probability. This is the foundation of quantum consciousness, the reason your thoughts and emotions rearrange situations long before you take action. The field does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you are vibrationally. And everything you experience confirms the identity you subconsciously believe yourself to be. This is the part they never wanted you to understand, because once you realize your energy is creative, the old structures lose their power. You stop living by default and start living by awareness. You begin to sense the hidden geometry of life, the subtle movements behind events, the invisible dance between intention and manifestation. You begin to notice that the so-called coincidences are actually reflections of your frequency returning to you. You begin to understand that the universe isn't testing you, it's mirroring you. And the moment that awareness enters your perception, your relationship with the world shifts in a way that can never be reversed. If this resonates with you, if it feels like someone is articulating something you've always known but couldn't express, share it in the comments. Write "I'm awakening," not as a slogan, but as an acknowledgement of your own expanding consciousness. When you do, it's not just engagement, it's alignment. And if you feel this space is helping you step into a deeper understanding of yourself and the field you're connected to, like the video and subscribe to stay close to these explorations. This channel grows through shared intention, through the energy of people who are genuinely waking up to the reality beneath the surface. Your presence here is not random. Your curiosity is part of the process. And there is something even more revealing coming next. Something about the way your subconscious communicates with the quantum field in every moment, shaping outcomes before you even make a choice. Once you see how that mechanism works, your entire understanding of reality begins to shift again, opening a doorway into a truth you've sensed your whole life but never had the language to explain. You collapse that reality because your subconscious mind shifted into a new frequency, and the quantum field responded instantly, long before the physical world teve tempo de acompanhar. This is the mechanism most people never notice. They believe events are happening to them, mas a verdade é que sua própria vibração emocional estava preparando o terreno muito antes. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you nurture, every belief you carry becomes a pattern of energy transmitting into the hidden fabric of existence. That pattern interacts with the field, selecting one possibility among many, turning what was once potential into a sequence of experiences you eventually call your life. This is why, when you expect failure, life rearranges itself to confirm it. The frequency of fear sends out a signal that aligns you with timelines where things fall apart, not as punishment, but as coherence. And the same is true when you sense something extraordinary approaching. The subtle rise in your internal energy, that elevated emotion, that quiet certainty, activates a different layer of the quantum field. Suddenly, opportunities appear, people show up, coincidences align, and what seemed unlikely becomes inevitable. You weren't lucky, you were aligned. This is the hidden mechanism behind quantum manifestation. Not wishing, not forcing, but transmitting. Reality is not responding to what you want. It's responding to what you are vibrationally. And the most intriguing part is that you've done this throughout your entire life, even when you weren't conscious of it. Every breakthrough, every heartbreak, every unexpected turn was part of a deeper dialogue between your inner state and the energy around you. A dialogue you're only now starting to hear with clarity. The real awakening begins when you finally understand that perception is participation. Every moment you observe your life through a certain emotional lens, you reinforce a frequency that shapes the unfolding of your next experience. This is why expanding your consciousness is not just a spiritual concept. It's a practical necessity. The more aware you become of your inner world, the more influence you gain over the outer one. You start to recognize the exact moment your energy shifts, and you begin to sense how that shift sets new probabilities in motion. This is where the veil of the hidden reality begins to lift, revealing a universe that is far more responsive, intelligent, and interconnected than anything you were ever taught. And if these words are resonating with something deep inside you, it's because you're not just listening, you're remembering. The truth isn't new, it's familiar. If this insight is opening something within you, share your reflection in the comments. Your voice strengthens the frequency of this community. If this knowledge brings clarity, leave a like so more people can access it. And if you want to continue expanding your awareness alongside thousands of seekers, subscribe so you don't lose this alignment. What comes next will take you even further, because there's another layer of this mechanism, one that reveals how your subconscious programs are shaping your timelines long before you consciously choose them. Now you're beginning to sense what was always here, pulsating beneath every moment of your life. This is the point where the outer narrative dissolves and the inner truth finally emerges. Your reality was never something happening to you. It was something happening through you. Every vibration you emitted, every emotion you held, every belief stored in the depths of your subconscious mind was interacting with the quantum field long before you had language to describe it. And now that your perception is expanding, you can feel the subtle shift inside you. the quiet recognition that consciousness is not confined to the brain, but extends into every layer of experience, shaping and reshaping the hidden architecture of your world. When you look back, you may notice how moments that seemed random were actually echoes of your own frequency returning to you. The conversations that arrived at the exact time you needed them, the opportunities that appeared the moment your internal state shifted, the sudden clarity that seemed to come from nowhere. All of it was evidence of the field responding to your energy. This is the realidade oculta que sempre tentou chamar sua atenção. The universe mirrors your internal alignment with a precision far beyond logic. And once you recognize this, the illusion of separateness begins to fall apart. You start to perceive the continuous flow between your inner world and the outer one, a dialogue of consciousness unfolding in every second. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes that your awakening was not an accident. Something in you was always aware that the life you were living did not match the life you sensed was possible. That tension, that quiet discomfort was the first spark of your desperate or spiritual. It was the signal that your old identity no longer fit the frequency of who you were becoming. And now, standing in this moment, you can feel the expansion of your conscientia quantica moving through you, dissolving layers of conditioning and opening space for something more elevated, more coherent, more aligned with the truth of your energy. This is the beginning of a quantum shift, the threshold between the self you believed yourself to be and the self you are finally remembering. You can feel it in the subtle rise of your vibration, in the way your perception stretches beyond the ordinary, in the way your mind's subconscious begins to release old stories that no longer serve your evolution. You are not stepping into a new reality. You are stepping into a clearer version of the one you have always been shaping. And as this awareness deepens, you begin to understand the responsibility and the power that come with it. The field is listening. Your energy is speaking. And the life ahead of you will reflect the frequency you choose to embody from this moment on. If this is resonating, if something inside you is opening, allow yourself to acknowledge it. Your engagement here is part of the expansion of this entire community, a field of people awakening to the truth of who they are. When you feel ready, leave a comment with words that anchor your new state of awareness. Eu desperto. Eu vejo além. Estou expandindo. Or the phrase that speaks to your transformation. Your presence here strengthens the collective vibration and prepares you for what comes next. Because there is another layer waiting just beyond this point, a deeper understanding of how your consciousness interacts with the field in ways far more powerful than you've ever realized.